till it's time for renewal. Your business runs all year, and so do the gaps and the risk. That's why I'm in. You and your team. At supershore.com, you can
All right, stand by, folks. The behind-the-scenes live stream about ready to kick off in about 30 seconds now. Welcome in. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you're up to today. And we got big news. Breaking news to get into. Stand by. Here we go.
You're listening to News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM. Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Yeah, welcome in, folks. A massive weekend with major moves. We get to the latest coming up with the deal in Iran, trip to the G7 for the president today, and some fights at the White House over the weekend. People are losing their minds over it. It's really a big difference. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage that's come out of the Knicks winning this weekend, but that footage is making around. At the same time, some footage from the World Cup is making the rounds, and it's raising some eyebrows. We'll get into all of that more.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
Yeah, the stories that matter most. We'll be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. Powered by our good friends at Harlan Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway and the team want to help you, whether you want to buy, refi, home equity line of credit. We know that gas prices are starting to get back into place, particularly with this deal over the weekend. We'll tell you more about in moments. But we also are hearing that interest rates are moving into place as well. So whether you want to make any of those moves, now may be the time to reach out to Dave Galloway and the team at Harlan Home Mortgage to find out what they can do to help you. HHMlending.com. HHMlending.com, the best way to reach out.
Number one.
And say thank you for supporting the program, but also get the down low on it. Let the oil flow. That's what President Trump posted on Truth Social over the weekend, announcing this massive deal with Iran and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz as he's removed the naval blockade. Ships ready to sail through, and oil prices already reacting the market as well this morning.
Yeah, Kevin, good afternoon. I just spoke with President Trump. He tells Fox News he believes a deal with Iran will be signed in the next 2 to 3 hours. I asked him about the Israeli strikes earlier today against Hezbollah in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. He tells me he spoke on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, asking him, what the F are you doing?
Now, I play this because the deal's supposed to be signed Friday. It wasn't signed this weekend. And what it is called a memo of understanding. I want to tell you what that is, why it matters, and why we're really not out of the woods completely yet, although this is fantastic news. In the meantime, there could be a hiccup or two, and you just heard part of that possible hiccup in the conversation there on Fox News over the weekend. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, President Trump en route to the G7. We'll have more with those leaders in the meeting there happening in Geneva, Switzerland. No, that's where it's signed. He's actually in Evian, France, where they do that fancy bottled water. That's where they're meeting. I got the two mixed up. Residents rallying last night, the Lowell Township, and obviously opposed to Microsoft's proposed data center. Dozens gathered Sunday in the rain, organized by residents united for a healthy lull. That's the group, citing concerns over water use, energy demands, noise, wildlife impacts, and lack of transparency. The event preceded a township board meeting, which I believe is happening. Now, the board meeting, well, what we heard this morning on the news, there's no schedule to talk about the data center, but as you can imagine, that's top of mind for those residents. So we'll see how that unfolds tonight. Let the oil flow. The memo of understanding is important for folks to realize what's going on, why that is, and what the markets are doing. I want to get into that. As I mentioned, we got a couple of pieces here that are moving parts that still have to make their way through. But in the meantime, there is reason for celebration. We'll talk about all that, give you a chance to weigh in as well.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
You can use that little microphone button next to the play button on the iHeartRadio app if you wish to join us as well. We've got chance to weigh in, sound off there from the folks at MKD Funeral Homes. And yeah, like I said, there's lots to unpack from this deal, what it'll look like and why. Again, we're not completely out of the, although I do think, I think it's an exciting moment. I do think it's a moment for optimism. But again, don't count those chickens before they hatch kind of thing. I think that's also good. VP Vance on the way this weekend also weighing in on this conversation. And here's what he had to say on Fox News.
First of all, I do think it's a big moment for the United States of America. Thanks, of course, to the president's leadership and the hard work of the entire team.
Now, a memo of understanding is what will be signed on Friday. And that needs some context. Essentially, this is like a one sheet. Here's the terms we agreed to. Then I think they have a full signing at some other point. Maybe Trump involved with that. I don't know exactly when the plan will be for that to happen. But I think this is kind of these are the initial deals. You know, when you sign a contract or you do it, usually you got to put it all kind of on one sheet of paper. This is what we're going to do. And then you have the lawyers go back and they draft up all the fine print, dot the I's, cross the T's, all of that stuff. And that still yet has to be done. But as you mentioned, or the president did, and then VP Vance, this is a moment worth celebrating. It is, I already know what you're going to say, because I kind of think the same way too. I think this is a little more real than it has been in the past anyway. Obviously, both sides confirming. We got Pakistan confirming as well. But it ain't over till it's over. And there are a lot of monkey wrenches, a lot of possibilities to pull us off track here and there. But in the meantime, I think it's okay to be optimistic.
Three things that I think are important for the American people just to appreciate about what this deal does for all of us as Americans. Number one, this is the immediate opening of the Straits of Hormuz and, of course, the lifting of the naval blockade that we've had on Iran along with it. The number two thing that it means is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and not just pursue a nuclear weapon, but procure or try to buy a nuclear weapon as well. That's built into this agreement. And then the third thing is, and this only happens, to be clear, if Iran delivers on their promise. And so there's an approach here where we verify and where there are real benefits so long as Iran meets their end of the obligation. But if the Iranians comply with this deal, it is going to fundamentally transform the Middle East for the next 50 years. It's going to end the war. It's going to make the Middle East more investable. It's going to mean a lot of prospects.
Now, I've got to, I don't mean to cut him off. That clip just cuts off. I didn't cut him off. But I got to make this point too, because I'm already seeing it in the chat from some folks, Chicken Little Skies followers, doom and gloomers, black pillars. Not all the people asking these questions are. I think anybody can be realistic. I believe it when I see it. I think is an approach that I don't mind you taking right now, because I trust but verify. I use the Reagan process as well. Trust but verify. But here is the problem. Here's the problem. There's a lot of mess going around online right now by a lot of people who are either going to be not happy that this deal is done because they're betting on Trump losing for whatever reason. Politically, it's more expedient for them or whatever it might be. Or they're just always stuck in the negative mindset that everything we always lose. And I understand that too. But nobody knows what the terms of this deal are because they really haven't been released yet. We think we have some ideas. We've heard some people talk about some of it. But talking about Iran's going to get this amount of money or this is going to happen. Even Obama was out there saying the other day, but I don't believe this deal is going to be better than the deal we did. Well, first of all, everything Trump does is better than what you did. Number one, that just goes without saying. We've seen history bear this out. Why? Because Trump actually wants what's best for America. Number two, this guy has no ability, no reference point, no credibility to even talk about any of this. Unless he's been negotiating. And listen, folks, this is possible too. On the other side of the table. So just remember, but in order for this deal to hold, and there are some, like I said, some sticky points. So we got a whole week, folks, to get to Friday. I'd say pray for the country, pray for the peace, and that this thing does hold so that this can all move forward. Now, as far as gas prices, somebody ought to let the gas stations know. Hemi said, well, that's not true. I don't know where you're filling up, but Hemi, even in some of the fanciest, most expensive parts of town, gas has dropped for me under $4 a gallon. $3.99, $3.98 is where I'm seeing it in some of the places that are usually a little bit more expensive anyway. That doesn't mean some of the places aren't up higher. Some of them are. In fact, I noticed this weekend, some of the places that are usually some of the cheapest, like in the rural areas where I usually go to fill up because I'm just out that way most of the time on the weekend. I go try to fill up there. It's like 30 cents cheaper or more. They weren't. They were still high. And I would just imagine that has to do with turnover of what they paid for the fuel versus what they have actually sold so far. In other words, you got to get rid of that, and you don't want to completely take a loss on it. Sean said he got gas at $3.83 yesterday. I'd love to know in the chat where you got it. I got it at $3.87 in Spring Lake on Saturday. And like I said, it's $3.98, $3.99 where I live. So that's massive. That's before you take into account, and by the way, I told you about the secret deal where all of this, I think, played into it. Trump removing millions of barrels of oil under the cover of darkness in that secret mission through the Strait of Hormuz over the last week or so. And actually, I think maybe month as far as that timeline is. I'd have to get that confirmed. But oil prices, let's give this a whirl. We're almost under $80 a barrel right now for oil prices. We are crashing through the floor of where those prices were in the hundreds at one point. WTI is at $80.27. Brent is at $83.07. That is also having an impact on the market. Dow futures are up 562 points. S&P 95. NASDAQ 617. So that's all also with the big week we had back then last week with the SpaceX IPO and everything else. I mean, markets are going crazy. They see things coming together. The pictures are starting to kind of move into place. Oh, and there's one other thing that I should give you a little bit of optimism, and we'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. But there's another piece of this pie, the midterms and people wondering about how is that all going to work out? We'll try to get into that, too, coming up in just moments, plus a data center debate and conversation that you won't want to miss. It really breaks down the latest when it comes to energy and how that all should take place. Our good friend Steve Redmond hosting a big one for you tomorrow. We're going to give you a bit of a sneak peek into the podcast we did with one of the folks in the know. 309 in Florida yesterday? Holy smokes. Shows you how much we're paying in taxes here. Back at it after this on West Michigan Live, Wood Radio. I'm Justin Barkley.
Monday, June 15th, I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Democrats again pushing to allow people here in Michigan to kill themselves by proposing legislation to permit physician-assisted suicide. House Democrats promoting a 4-bill package called the Death with Dignity Act that would allow patients with an end-of-life diagnosis of 6 months or less to take matters into their own hands. In other news, activists who support illegal aliens descend on the Capitol to call out Governor Whitmer and her promise to fight like hell for their cause. They want her to stop a 500-bed ICE detention center from opening in Wayne County, about 20 miles from downtown Detroit. And President Trump, en route to the G7 meeting after announcing a long-awaited deal has happened between the U.S. and Iran. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
It's that time of year.
All right, folks, welcome in the behind-the-scenes live stream, full speed ahead with your good friends here in the Freedom Fam. Thank you so much, folks watching the VIPs over on Locals. I got Mando, I got Hemi, who's headed down to Indiana, going to give us a full report of what it looks like down there. Where are you headed, Hemi? I'm very curious. Say hello. Patriot Dean, good to see you as well. Panda, good to see you. Good morning. M. Lackey said 309. In Florida. M. Balder, 364 at Sam's Club in Holland? Wow. Jill Marie, good morning as well. Thank you, folks. Now, I don't think those are tied to the deal. I don't think the prices, the oil and everything is caught up just yet. I could be wrong, but I don't, which actually gives me quite the encouragement. Over on Rumble, History Diggers, Tim, SJ, Tree Frog, Jen Lynn, and Julianne, and so many others. Why am I encouraged? Well, because it means that the prices they're going to go down even more. At least it would appear. If you're watching on the TubeRX, say hi this morning as well. Love to hear from you. Mary, Tammy, Faye, good to see you. Brenda is in the house. Jason, good to see you too. Jessica, Sherry, Melissa, Earl. I see John over on the tube. I think I saw Lady Vu over on X. We got lots of folks watching all over, and that's why we are. Had a weird thing with Facebook last week, but we're so happy that we've got all these different platforms to come to you on because 20 cents on every gallon. Faye, try 60. It's crazy. I know. I think it's more like 20 cents. Is federal tax. I think it's like 18 cents. I know. And that's why it's like $1 difference between here and Indiana specifically right now. All right, back on the air. All right, why is it $1 difference between here and Indiana? No matter what. Well, what they did, their legislature and their governor, when all of this started, is they did a bit of a moratorium on the gas tax. So they paused it for like 90 days. And so that's why when you go down there, you're not going to. I think they may have even paused the federal. I don't know how that would work. I don't know how they got around it, but they've paused their gas tax. And so when you go, there is such a big difference. Now we've got a spy headed down. We've got a spy headed down into Indiana a little bit later on today, and he'll let us know. But we can also find this stuff out online. If we just did some Googling, we could probably get you some answers down there too. Also, Florida is another state where gas, we just found out, is much cheaper as well. It's a different zone, though. It's a different area. That's another thing. Great Lakes, this region versus other regions, we see different prices as well because of refining issues, a lot of times, things like that. So that can also play into it. But as I mentioned, prices are coming down. And here's the thing that this is probably the biggest piece of optimism to give you right now. These prices that you're seeing at the pump, as low as they have been, and you know, cause for celebration still, I would say, for a lot of folks, they aren't impacted by this deal yet. This deal and the oil right now coming in at $80 a barrel, which is like $20 cheaper, right? That still hasn't made its way to the pump yet. So you're going to see that move too in the coming days. Just another reminder. And again, I will remain cautiously optimistic. But I am very happy about what we're seeing play out, folks, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. It is like a roller coaster ride. The market goes up, it goes down. To make sure you don't get nauseous, make sure you work with the folks who will keep an eye on it all for you and take a holistic approach so you don't feel overwhelmed. Whether you want to retire today or tomorrow or 10, 20 years down the road, Mike Lester and the crew at Talon Wealth are going to help take great care of you so you can get to where you want to go and when you want to get there without any detours. GuardingYourNestEgg.com. Log online to find out how they can help you today, or pick up the phone and call Mike and the team at 616-661-1000. That's 616-661-1000. But do it today.
Breaking down the story. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Hey, this is...
Doesn't Indiana get fuel from the same refinery Michigan does? No, different parts, Troy. Indiana's a long state, so some of it is southern. I know it's hard to imagine, but the southern part of Indiana is on the border of the Ohio River, the border of Kentucky. So Kentucky, that's basically, you're talking Mason-Dixon line there, and so you're like basically the South. And gas is much cheaper there. So there are different parts, and I know the Great Lakes region, so it'd be northern Indiana. Now, where Hemi's going is Warsaw, Goshen area, Syracuse, Angola. I think some of those might be they might be the Great Lakes. So they might, the price might be a little different. Let's do a quick check. Hang on, let's see if I can get. Let's get the gas average in Indiana right now. I don't know why we're talking about Indiana so much, but that I think just because there was such a difference. Holy smokes. As of June 15th, the average gas price in Indiana is about $3.34 per gallon for regular unleaded. Holy smokes. This is according to Grok. AAA data. Gasprices.aaa.com if you want to confirm. Down slightly from yesterday, 335, and a week ago, 344. Much lower than a month ago at 421. Indiana currently has some of the lowest gas prices in the U.S. I've seen this chart. Like I said, it's because of what they did with the taxes. Well below the national average of 407. And from what I understand, Michigan is at 406, so that would put us right in line with the national average. Prices can vary by city. Indianapolis or Fort Wayne, often around 330, 340, station and time of day. Okay, let's do Michigan. I think it's going to tell us what I've been told this morning by the AAA folks, which is, was it 406? Yeah. Here's the chart from AAA for Indiana. So you notice the blue, lighter blue at the top, darker blue in the center. That's where Indianapolis is. And then you see dark blue down at the bottom right. I believe this is, no, that's Louisville. I don't know what Clark County is. Oh, the blue is the lower. Okay, so the red would be higher prices. All right, that makes sense. This is where I'm from. $3.50 a gallon right now. Interesting. Okay. That's why. Okay, so Jefferson County is Louisville, but gosh, this is all Indianapolis, and it's super cheap. Holy cow! You would have thought it would have been a little bit more expensive. Indiana's average 334, national average 406. Let's see if they could do. Let's do MI for Michigan. All right, Michigan's they haven't broken this down yet. I don't think it's updated. Well, no, it is today updated. It says 417, but we heard 406, so maybe that's not correct. Maybe I got the price wrong. It's 406 for the national, and then you can see we are the cheapest in Michigan right now. I did hear that. Maybe that's what I mistook. Maybe gas in West Michigan is the cheapest right now. Of course, look it up in the UP too. Hang on. Got to get back on the air.
Friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
We're actually looking right now at a map, the behind-the-scenes live stream of the gas prices throughout the state of Indiana, according to the AAA, and state of Michigan too. We had Indiana just pulled up. Now we've got Michigan. So they say the state gallon of average is 417 right now, and we are sitting at, in West Michigan, some of the cheapest. I think they said 406 is the average in West Michigan. But if you scroll around and you look at some of these, 386 in Newaygo, 402 the average in Kent, Ottawa 4. I mean, it's 394 in Mason. It's it's getting cheaper. And this is probably the biggest piece for you. This is before the actual baked in, I guess, of what's going to happen here. As the prices come down. All right. Should we let's go to Mike. Chicken Little. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right, Justin. How about you? Hey, Justin, I'm with you on being a little in question. You can't knock me. You deal with a country that's basically good guys and bad guys. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the good guys want to make a deal. Of course, why wouldn't you? The bad guys, they just want to kill us, Justin. Right now, The way I see it, the guys are running the show because they're the ones with the guns.
I think
it'll be interesting.
I totally get your apprehension, and again, the deal only holds on their willingness to to stick to it. But at the end of the day, I think they've lost the cards. And so you said with the bad guys with the guns. I think their guns have been taken. And I think what we've seen in the willingness to come to the table at this point, I think Trump gave him an escape hatch. And what I mean by that is he's proven over the last month or so that he can get oil out of the Strait of Hormuz without their say. That's taken place. Hundreds of millions of barrels. And that's what's driven the gas price down now in West Michigan, to below $4 a gallon in some places. And even, like I said, paid $3.87. I know that's probably an outlier, but also the oil price per barrel down to 80. So that was the biggest issue. The whole reason we got into this wasn't oil. It was the nuclear weapon capability, which they told us they had. Now he's depleted that from the get-go. Now all they really need to do is go in and get the dust. And I say that sort of flippantly because it's a lot more complicated than what I just painted it to be. But that's the piece that's left on the table there. But if we can't get it, Iran probably can't get it anytime soon either. So that also puts us in another really good position. The other thing that quietly happened last week, the arrow that we took out of their quiver, was when Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, mentioned this. And this was the only thing they had left really to push back on us. And it was the idea that they would just start shooting these rockets off in different places and to their neighbors. And that would disrupt what was going on in the Middle East. And then again, like I said, maybe screw with oil prices and everything else there. So why I'm cautiously optimistic there, to make a long story short, is Bessent came out last week and he said that they were going to start charging any damage done by Iran to their neighbors. They would then begin repairing with the money that was left that we had seized. So where we are now is Iran acts right. They can get money that was seized, that's theirs. Now, we don't know how much, but that's the leverage we have. And we don't know how much what's actually in that deal. But they can get money that's been seized. They can have that. Or they can be completely annihilated and will continue to take oil out of the strait. It won't be exactly what we want, but it has brought oil prices down. I don't think it's as low as what Trump wants them to come down, but it has brought oil prices down. And that's the catch-22 that Iran is in. They were forced, backed into a corner, had to make the deal. They have no way out. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but like I say, the only way you're going to get oil out of there, push come to shove, and he has, is he's going to have the military hang out there just in case they, pull something.
Well, yeah.
I don't think you're ever going to change. There's three things for sure in Iran until their last dying day. They will always hate the Jews. Number one, it's been written. That's their life. B, all they got is oil. What else do they got? Mm-hmm. And C, I don't think they're going to ever give up all their uranium. They're so buried now they don't even know what they got. But as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting, Justin, one way or another. Yeah,
I'm with you. We had a lot of this is just wait and see. But Mike, I appreciate the phone call this morning, and you're right. To your point, it's out there now. It's floating. There's not much we can do about it. We have to sit back and watch how it all plays out. But these are massive updates, and of course they are. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be positive. We just don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and there's only so much that we can do is give you what's out there, what's been reported out there. All of that to say, I mean, I know where we are. I know where we've been. I'm just telling you. I told you, and we're not there yet, so I can't do the whole, take a victory lap or anything. But it was not too long ago, probably about a month or so back, and I did this exercise. But I wanted, because people were talking about the midterms and how bad things were going to go, et cetera. And I say, I just want you to imagine. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's possible. I just want you to imagine a world where gas prices are back into the $2 a gallon. When I say that, it's maybe like $2.99. Maybe for us, we're like, because we got down to what, $2.60, $2.80 maybe? So just imagine a world where gas prices are that low, right? And it's, it's a world where Iran's in line. Venezuela has been also brought into line. Maybe Cuba becomes free. You got the border closed up. And then on top of it all, there have been arrests. Imagine a world where that takes place. Anything else I'm leaving out here? Maybe those are the biggest pieces. Maybe we get the SAVE Act done. Yeah, maybe I'm leaving something else out. But those things, it's all possible, by the way, by the midterms. And if that happens, if those things take place by the midterms, it's a very different world. And the midterms will be completely different. Completely different. I'm not claiming to have a crystal ball, but those are all possible. And the reason I bring them up, and even you, Chicken Little, have to admit it, Trump has done what no one else could do. He's done what we were told was the impossible. Time after time after time again. And to count him out for any reason whatsoever, I think is a foolish endeavor. Coming up, we're going to have a conversation about data centers. We've got a great podcast with Steve Gorham, who's going to be tomorrow at the Western Michigan Patriots meeting there in Zeeland, Howard Miller Community Center, 6 o'clock, I believe. Details at OttawaCountyPatriots.org. We'll give you a little bit of a preview of what our podcast, which drops a little bit later on today, what that all looks like coming up. But first, question on the line and comment maybe about data centers as we move through some of the phone calls this morning. Nathan in Lowell. Good morning, Nathan. You're on live with West Michigan Live.
Yes. How you doing today?
Fantastic.
Good. I just wanted to let you know that Lowell needs to suck it up, Buttercup. They're going to have a data center. They should have recalled everybody back in January when they were told. But no, they were kind of liberal, and they're going to change, and they just don't understand. And once they know what the people feel, well, then they'll vote the right way. No, it's over. Between now and when they approve it, you can't recall them. And once it goes through, try to rescind that kind of zoning when you got to fight Microsoft. We don't have enough money in Kent County to fight Microsoft. We saw it happen in Austin Township, right next to Lowell Township, 50 years ago when they tried to shove zoning down our throat. And it was the same scenario.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. A lot of this stuff is coming, whether we like it or not. I don't disagree. I think people ought to stay in the fight if they really are opposed to it. Make sure you get good information so you're completely informed. But at the end of the day, don't give up. Fight to the end if you can. Make sure that you've left it all on all on the field. But I
totally agree with that.
The next piece I'd put in there too, though, is that look, if you're gonna have to go through with this stuff, instead of saying no, and Glenn's made this point before, I've heard him say this, but no, we're not gonna, we don't want it. Here's what if you want to come in here, here's what you need to do, and there's a long list of those things. And Nathan, I got to take a quick break here, but thank you for the call. Here's what that looks like. You got to provide your own power. You got to do this in a certain way that it will not disturb the noise from this thing, will not disturb our residents. You're not going to be sucking water out of the ground and leaving us with nothing and dried up wells and everything else, like we've seen happen in other places before. It's a long list. I'd start working on it because these demands can be made, and you might have the most leverage now than you've ever had before. This might be the time to walk that out. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about that in the conversation you'll hear next with our good friend Steve Gorham. All the way, hang on. It's West Michigan Live. You can weigh in on this or any of the other conversations we're having this morning on a fantastic Monday. A little bit of a cooler week ahead. Some rain on the way as well. But today, the nicest day out of the entire day. We roll through with more coming up after this on West Michigan Live. Our good friend Kevin Yoder is at it again, folks. Look, if you need a hand, whether you want to buy or sell, but particularly sell your home, and whether it's you or it's mom or dad, now's the time. Reach out and find out how they can help. He's got decades of experience, our good friend Kevin Yoder. You've heard him on this program time after time after time. Look, would you even just think about this? Would you even sell if you didn't know where you're going next? That's the question Kevin Yoder's team is helping folks in West Michigan and those homeowners solve each and every day. Kevin Yoder has something very special called the Seller Options Review. And here's what it does. You're going to look at your value, your timing, items you should fix or skip, and he'll answer all of these questions for you, whether a move first or a guaranteed sale option could help, because he's got all of these things on the table. Various different tools over the decades of experience that he's discovered and created on his own to help you get to where you want to go. Don't let the next move keep you stuck. Call Kevin and the team today at 616-303-5671. Whether it's your home or mom and dad's, it's not too late. You got to get on the phone today, though. Or go to soldbyyoder.com/wood. That's soldbyyoder.com/wood. Call 616-303-5671 and talk to Kevin Yoder today. Yoder Real Estate is brokered by LPT Realty.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, June 15th. I'm Robin Hoffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Activists who support illegal aliens protesting at the Capitol and calling out Democrat Governor Whitmer and her promise to fight like hell for their cause. They want her to stop a 500-bed ICE detention center from opening in Wayne County, about 20 miles from downtown Detroit. Democrats again pushing to allow people here in Michigan to kill themselves by proposing legislation to permit physician-assisted suicide. House Democrats promoting a 4-bill package called the Death with Dignity Act that would allow patients with an end-of-life diagnosis of 6 months or less to take matters into their own hands. And President Trump en route to the G7 summit after announcing a deal has been reached between the U.S. and Iran, the paperwork scheduled to be signed in Switzerland on Friday. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask Chat.
All right, folks, stand by. Got Steve Gorham coming up in just a moment with the energy conversation, data centers and more. We will definitely make sure that we get into. Oh, yes, the juxtaposition between what's happening at the World Cup and the NBA championship finals or game in New York is absolutely stunning. It is stunning. I just, it's almost hard to imagine how wild this all is. But you want to see a full display? Whew. This video that I got coming up here, I'm gonna share with you. On full display, how nutty it is. And again, it's not just, and some of it has already started, but the communist takeover in New York City. But it's the culture there, and it's how you get a communist elected is, people that are completely, off the rocker. America 250 gear, by the way, is here. If you haven't done it yet today, please, by all means. You're more than welcome to support us and grab all kinds of new gear, T-shirts, mugs, tumblers. We've got it all inside the Justin store, justinbarclay.com/store. But you could win your gear. I'd love to just give it to you. Yeah, we make a few bucks here and there. It's nothing to write home about, but it does really, more than anything, help you spread the word about the program and help us get the word out about these stories, the truth, logic, and common sense that quite often is happening behind the scenes. Lots of it is going on, unfortunately, without folks even being able to hear about it or know about it because you're silenced. You know how we play the games with the algorithm. And, yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. It's not easy, but you help us break through, cut through the noise, and get the stories out to people who desperately need to hear them. So thank you for your support. You always make it possible. If you'd like to help us, somebody who clicks share today is going to win something cool from inside the store. All you have to do is click share, Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, you name it, and help push these stories into their feed so that they can wake up. All right. That being said, back on the air here. We will pick our winner here before we get off today. We'll get into a little bit of Steve Gorham in just a moment and more. Hang on, folks. We're just getting started. Fastest hour on radio, flying right by, though. Here we go.
Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Welcome back, folks. It is the fastest hour in radio, flying right by. Talking with our good friend Steve Gorham. In a little bit of this, you're going to hear kind of in progress the podcast that we recorded last week with him. It's about energy, the data centers that they're wanting to push and come into our communities, and what's really going behind the scenes, and particularly with energy. The climate cult been awfully quiet. Now all of a sudden, that big tech needs these data centers. Steve Gorham commenting on that and more.
A 80-foot or 100-foot high tidal wave, that's the artificial intelligence revolution. And then down at the bottom, a little tiny sailboat. That sailboat is climatism and net zero. And that big wave is just going to wash away what's going on with net zero and climatism.
It's so true. And like they've completely just like brushed it off. And it's hard for me to understand the same people. And a lot of these people are sort of tech savvy, right? Bill Gates, one of them. They knew this was coming the whole time. They knew this AI thing was coming. What was the point? To me, I think about this as there's just no way that any of these two things are going to work at the same time together. You can't. In fact, I want to ask you about what will work. One of the things that people are making the point when they bring this whole data center argument to light is, the cost of what it's going to do to our energy, particularly with residential bills, but also industrial. Everybody's going to be paying more if there's more demand. That's just supply and demand. That's just how it works. And I don't know if we have enough to keep up with it all. So one of the things that they're saying is that these folks ought to be able to be self-sustaining. In other words, have their own way to produce power or themselves. What does that look like?
Well, let's get into that in a couple minutes here. But first, let's talk about the amount of spending that's going on. The hyperscalers, the big AI companies that are building all this AI capital investment, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Oracle, are spending over $700 billion this year and it's going to be over $1 trillion next year. Now to give a comparison to that, what the total United States spends on primary and high school education is on the order of about 900 billion. So these firms, these 5 firms, are investing the same amount as we spend on education every year in data centers and in AI equipment that goes into it. It's just a vast amount. And data center construction has now exceeded office building construction in the U.S.
Yeah.
We had at the start of 2024, we had about 2,700 data centers in the U.S. Now we have over 4,300. Michigan, for example, now has 75 data centers, up from 50 2 years ago. And so just a vast amount of spending that's going on with these things. And what this is doing, this is also changing the power grid, where, again, everybody was trying to shut down these plants. Now we have power plants restarting in Michigan, the Palisades nuclear plant.
That's right.
Restarting nuclear plants in Iowa, in South Carolina, and Pennsylvania. We have coal plants, one in Michigan that is being extended past its shutdown date. Mm-hmm. Also in Georgia, Indiana, Tennessee, Utah, and West Virginia. But the big winner is gas-fired plants. Several hundred of those are going in around the country, 140 in Texas alone. And so this is just a tremendous shift. And as you say, if we don't do this in the right way, it could force electricity prices to go up and water to get more scarce and all those sorts of things.
We dive in with this conversation, by the way, and the podcast that'll be dropping today. But Steve will be in person at the Western Michigan Patriots. Used to be Ottawa County Patriots. You can find out more at ottawacountypatriots.org. But they're getting into all of the conversation with our good friend Steve Redmond and more. Coming up tomorrow night, like I said, Howard Miller Community Center, doors open at 5:30. The whole thing kicks off at 6 there in Zeeland, and you'll definitely want to get on, find out more about what's going on there as they're going to walk through. Plus, when you go in person, you can have these conversations with each other. You can actually get answers. You can have longer, in-depth conversations with people, and they'll give you all the scoop on everything. I got to play this. This video is nuts. It's nuttier than anything you've ever seen before.
Man, so again,
going on, what is wrong with the world we live in today? In fact, it is 2 different scenes, 2 starkly different contrasts. On the bottom, it's New York City and the celebrations that are happening after the Knicks won the NBA championship. And on top, it is after the World game, the FIFA World Cup. Japanese, this is nuts. I've never seen anything like this before. Japanese fans have come bringing their own trash bags, part of their culture. They pick up after themselves. So there's a guy that even explains this. It's incredible. And he says why they do it. You want to see this whole thing. In fact, I'm going to talk more about it. We're going to go in depth on this and some more of the good news that you won't hear anywhere else. Behind the scenes live stream, rolling right along with us in the after show, the show after this. In the meantime, Glenn Beck program's coming up in moments. We'll be back tomorrow on the radio. Make it a great one. Wishing you the best, folks. Get out and enjoy that sunshine today. God bless.
Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, the power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids.
Okay. I gotta burn the black pill doom and gloom chicken little stuff down here in a minute, and I will. I want to play that video for you in a little bit more depth and detail, the 2 and the 2 contrasts. And then I've got some good news about the midterms. I'll get into all of that coming up here in just a little bit. And it all has to do with, we barely scratched the surface on all of this. But it all has to do, too, with what happened over this weekend, which were the UFC fights. Did you see any of that this weekend? Incredible. Incredible. Man, oh, man, oh, man. And the left keeps losing their ever-loving minds. I have to be careful about what I can and can't play because it's all copyrighted. They'll take us down if I play any of it, which is kind of stupid to me because it's news. I'm not trying to stream the show or the fights. I just want to share what happened at the thing, and this is news. Anyway, they don't have a good sense of humor when it comes to some of this stuff because it's an algorithm. It's a bot that pulls it down, essentially. Anyway, stand by, folks. Back after it. Here we go.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay.
Yeah, welcome to the after show, the show after the show. We call it the after show. There's never enough time to get to it all. We do our best. We do our best. If people ask for it, we're giving them what they want. They demand it. Imagine that. So here we are, folks. Welcome. Yes, we're going to do the Michelle Obama comment. We're going to tell you about the UFC fights. We're going to get into the juxtaposition, the craziness, to watch how the New Yorkers basically rioted when the Knicks won the championship versus what World Cup fans are doing right now, which I hate to say. It's a stark contrast. And then the good news that nobody else is going to tell you. It's a really interesting take I saw this weekend about those fights and the midterms and how they actually could impact the midterms. So we get all of that. I'm going to cram it into today's show, and we'll go. In the meantime, don't forget, America 250 gear is here. If you haven't ordered yours just yet, time to do it now. Now, I can't promise. You could order and roll the dice. I can't promise that you're going to get it in time for Father's Day. That drop deadline was, I want to say, Saturday is what that was. Now, I can't promise, but you could give it a shot. On the way, you're going to want this gear anyway, right? Get in there, get it done, or you can always win your gear by sharing over on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, and the rest of those places. We love having you help us to break the algorithms. It is so important. And man, oh man, you help us make a big difference. Now, another one, maybe in time to get it for Father's Day. I'm not sure, but he's got a great sale happening right now. Mike Lindell and mypillow.com/Justin, mystore.com/Justin. Some great gifts. Shipping is free on orders $100 and more right now with the Father's Day sale. If you go to mypillow or mystore.com/Justin, you'll be able to check it all out. My favorite, maybe the My Coffee. Save 50% off on that as well with promo code Justin. But you're going to want to get in and do it now. MyPillow.com, mystore.com/Justin. And our good friends over the weekend, we just dropped another great podcast episode with Maha Missy, another Maha update. The screw worm. You have to be deathly afraid of what do they call it? The flesh-eating screw worm. She broke through the fear, laid down the facts. You're going to hear the latest on that and a couple of other big stories, including what some believe may be driving the latest uptick in dementia, Alzheimer's, even Parkinson's. Just some absolutely just incredible statistics that are starting to come out. I think people might be waking up to some of this. Anyway, It's an incredible episode, another action-packed one, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to it. If you want to join me inside the Freedom Fam, we'd love to have you on the Maha mission with us today. Make sure you go to healthwithjustin.com, healthwithjustin.com, and of course, you can join us. Lots of people getting great results. Mike and his wife are down 40 pounds each, which is incredible. We see people losing pant sizes. Yes, dropping weight is one thing, but when you start seeing people drop their medications, when you start seeing people actually get healthier, they got more energy so that they can actually get through the day, and then you start seeing them get better sleep at night. Everything starts coming into focus. You can feel better, and everything else is just amazing. Man, oh man. Healthwithjustin.com. Check it out today. Call 269-964-4044 and see how Maha Missy and the team can help you. Okay. All right. I have to show you this because there were massive sporting events this weekend, and we've got a few of them to cover. I'm not a big sports guy, but they had massive cultural impact. That's kind of where I want to go with this. Yeah, the UFC. You had, I believe, the Stanley Cup wrapped up, and then the NBA Finals as well as this FIFA World Cup, which is going on here too, right at the same time. Lots happening, focused. The eyes of the world are on America. Here's what they saw, what they were watching this weekend. The Knicks fans in New York City rioting at the same time that World Cup fans, particularly some from China, or excuse me, Japan, took a completely different turn. Check this out. This is incredible.
Again, the fans, the Japan fans, the Samurai Blue faithful cleaning up in their sections after. And we also saw, James Winston, who was working for the Fox crew, he also joined in wearing a Samurai Blue jersey.
Oh. Now, I show you this to give you just a bit of a juxtaposition, if I can, of the difference of the two situations. So on one part of the screen, you see the Knicks, and New York is burning it down. It is, if it weren't so bad, if it weren't so horrible, to watch something like that, so tragic, really. It would be funnier, but it is. It's a juxtaposition between the two here. Watch this play out. What is going on? I don't know. Japan's a completely different scenario. It's completely different culturally. I get it. So I give them that. But at the end of the day, when you look at this stuff, you got to wonder, how far have we fallen in America? How bad is it? You got a complete different. Now they're going to tell you why they do this and why it's so important to them. Listen to this.
Man, so again, the fans, the Japan fans, the Samurai Blue faithful cleaning up in their sections after. And we also saw, James Winston, who was working for the Fox crew, he also joined in wearing a Samurai Blue jersey.
Brenda said, I feel so bad for the one bus driver telling them to stop because it was going to cost him his job. They don't care. These people, these mobs, they don't care. So why do the Japanese bring their own trash bags to these events and clean up? They're going to tell you why. Listen to this.
Keep the good times going.
This is just incredible.
The Japanese culture, 来た時よりも美しく, which means we should be cleaner than we came here. So this is our mindset.
Now, I learned this in the Boy Scouts. And this is going to sound crazy to people, but this used to be an American way of thinking and culture as well. You want to leave a place. Whenever we went camping when we were kids as Boy Scouts, we always did a little bit of a patrol, right? And we cleaned up the campsite. The idea, And by the way, this is biblical too. The idea was to leave the place better than what you found it. That's essentially what he's saying through the thick, heavy accent. So on one side of the screen, we've got rioters burning things down in New York City. On the other side, we've got, to celebrate the next one. On the other side, we've got the Japanese. It's incredible.
It means like we should be cleaner than we came here. So this is our mindset. And this is very obvious that we are clean up the stadium. And then that will be like make up our good Japanese culture.
You can't make this stuff up. You just can't make this stuff up. And by the way, I will argue New York City gets communist Mayor Mamdani. I would argue they get this communist Mayor Mamdani because the culture shifted first. The culture shifted. That's why you get the results that you get. I know a lot of times we worry about what happens in Washington, D.C. or in Lansing, far-off places where conversations are had about our future. But I guarantee you what impacts your world more than anything else is what's happening in your own home and in your own heart. Because your neighborhood, your town, and your family are impacted. We don't need some political, politician, some talking head to come save us. We need Jesus. And that is the answer. Because when you are shifted, when you are changed by that radical transformation that will occur in your life, you're going to do things like this. You're going to take better care of your environment, of your wherever you are, your home, or wherever you visit. That's just how it works. That's why we're seeing a massive difference right now. That's why they don't like, and I think at a spiritual level, they don't like what Trump is doing because it does have the power to shift and impact the culture. It does. It just absolutely does. And we're watching it. We're watching it play out right now. And some of that's some really good news. I mean, look at the things that are happening right now in D.C. as they had this UFC fight. A lot of this stuff I cannot play. I just can't. I can show you pictures of because they'll take me down. Not all of the streams, but the book and the tube don't like it. But look at the flyover. I mean, I don't know who you are. Like, imagine being a Democrat or someone with TDS, or maybe somebody used to like Trump, and now you got TDS. And we've seen a sea of those people coming in lately too. And it was incredible to see it, but they're all online hating this. How can you hate this? How can you be an American and hate this? It's just unbelievable. They hate America. They don't love America. They hate America. And again, you talk juxtaposition and the way the culture has shifted. This is why they hate Trump, because this is the White House under Biden. This is the White House under Trump. It's obvious. It's obvious. If you can't see it, you ain't looking. That's the best way to put it. If you can't see it, you ain't looking. What else happened over the weekend? Did you see the Nitro Circus guys? They were doing this sort of part of the open of weigh-ins and whatnot on the UFC. This was really cool. These guys were flipping these bikes. I mean, that's about all I can play because of, the bit of restriction. I mean, the videos were incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It was amazing. Again, how do you watch that and hate it? How do you watch that and hate America? You can't. You can't. You can't. It's impossible. There's just no way around it. Now, there was some other cool stuff that came out from this weekend, too, and I'll show you. There's video. Did you see yeah, here it is. This happened, the weigh-ins. Again, the weigh-ins happened this weekend by the Reflecting Pool and the Lincoln Memorial. This had to be, to me, I watch things and I go, I see things. I mean, I see God in everything, but look at this. This was incredible. It's at the weigh-ins. There's a rainbow in the background, the sky at sunset, dust there, and then, of course, you see the Washington Monument in the background, and watch what happens. See that lightning? That's incredible. To me, it seems like there's something more going on than what meets the eye. And this to me looked like just an amazing photo. Maybe I'm just making it up. Maybe there's nothing happening there. Maybe there's nothing going on at all. But to me, it seems like there is much more happening than meets the eye. And boy, oh boy, is that cool to watch. I don't know about you, but I love to see it. There's some great stuff out there. Eagles, they got eagles flying through the crowd. They're doing all kinds of things. And again, you're just going to be like, I don't know. I get some people just have such a hatred in their heart for things. But I can't wrap my head around it. I just cannot wrap my head around it. The other thing that I can't play for you too, because it's copyrighted again. It happened this weekend. One of the fighters, Josh Hogan, I think is his name. He gave his chain to President Trump. And then at the end of the fight, he said, let me go off script, essentially, and then said, Michelle Obama is a man. What? Again, UFC fighters, it's not like you're going to tell them what they can or can't say at any point. And he goes, let me just say what we're all thinking. And I think that's what he said. Michelle Obama is a man. Susan said, my lib friend says it's all AI. Well, that's the problem. They have an excuse and this is the real danger that we're headed into. And let me give you this. Although I do have some good news about the midterms that ties into all of this. But this is the danger, because I see people, they're even coming in today. They've been very quiet lately. I don't know if you noticed, but the doom and gloom, black pill, chicken little sky is fallen folks have been real quiet lately. See, last week, there's a deal out there, but real quiet, real quiet. Now they've got this deal agreed to, real quiet, real quiet. When they get it signed, they'll be super quiet. I'm telling you, they're not dealing with facts. What they're dealing with is a narrative, and they don't realize it, but they've been programmed. They're being influenced right now by social media, foreign influencers, domestic as well, but people and organizations that want to divide the country. This has all been done intentionally. We've seen it. In fact, we know, because now we're watching some of the major influencers, podcasters, these people that are being impacted by it. They're being targeted. We not only know that there's money out there, but we know that there's a system out there. Why do a bunch of podcasters from America who are America first fly to Russia? Oh, got no excuse, no reason for that. We just wanted to do some vacationing in Russia. I thought you were America first. Where did we lose the plot, folks? It's so obvious to see. There is an effort. There's a campaign happening. So I want to warn you about that, because we even know the end days, the end times, the Bible talks about this great delusion. We'll see it. A deception. The number one thing Jesus warns about when his disciples ask him about those days and the end times, the number one thing he starts with is, do not be deceived. Make sure that you do not be deceived. And isn't that a warning to you and to me? Yes, there'll be wars, there'll be rumors of wars, this, that, and the other thing. We know what's listed out in the Bible, but the number one thing he says is do not be deceived. A lot of people out there are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I'm seeing right now. Trump is bad. Trump is bad because he doesn't hate Israel. Israel's bad, and Trump is bad because he doesn't hate Israel. Now, if you don't hate Israel like we do and get out there and say these things that we're saying right now, we've all come up with these ideas originally and authentically on our own, by the way. We're just all seeing it together at the same time in lockstep, by the way. We're not being influenced at all. We all just having our own original ideas. Nobody's put these ideas into our head. Because remember, we're free-spirited and we just independent. We're independent. We just see these things that you don't see. So as those things are happening, these people are saying Trump's bad, Trump's bad, Trump's bad. Never should have gone into Iran. Look at the gas prices. This is going to be the World War III. It's going to be the end of this and the end of that, and America's broke. Like, I've seen a couple of podcasters come out and say, like, Iran won and we're spending all this money. It's just every bit of it's an outright phony baloney lie, the whole thing. And what's interesting is I've already seen it kind of happen because it's the next piece of it. The next piece of it is this. Trump is successful with this Iran deal. Oil prices go down. The next thing they're going to say is Trump's the Antichrist. Why do I know this? Because it's not the next thing. Tucker Carlson has already said it. And then he denied saying it. Got caught out there for everybody. And you shall know them by their fruit. Now, I don't hate Israel. In fact, I love the people. I'm commanded to love the people. I'm commanded to love everyone, even my enemies. I don't defend the government and every single thing the government of the nation does. I would never do that. I won't defend every single thing that our government does. I certainly won't defend some of the things that our government has done, lots of it under other presidents. But even this president, I will take issue with. I will be open to criticism. But I also come back to this, folks. You elected him. You got to let him do the job. You're more than welcome to interject. You're more than welcome to ask questions. You're more than welcome to, offer alternatives and options. But at the end of the day, you have to, and the problem, the people that are having a real problem here, you have to submit, this is the authority that you have elected. That's if you believe that the elections were okay. So you kind of have to get into that. Now, if you don't, I think the real issue we're seeing from people in a spiritual way is that people have problems with submitting to authority. I'll leave that for another day. That could be its own sort of sermon by itself. I'm not here to preach, but I am here to tell you like it is. And these things that I'm laying out, I think the next piece is going to be just to all out, yeah, Trump's the Antichrist. Yeah. We'll come back to this. I hate to say this, but again, we'll come back to this when it happens, probably in another week or so. We already know, because Tucker's already said it, but we already know that the people in the chat will start to say this. And the black pill, doom, gloom, chicken little, the sky is falling, folks. They'll come back to this. Some of them have been very quiet lately. I don't know if you've noticed that. Pray for these people. Pray that they wake up. They're not our enemy. I believe that they want many of the same things that we do. I just believe they're being deceived. So I don't know what to say other than to say pray for these people. All right. The midterms. I tell you, got some good news. So we'll start with this. The report that even ABC News has to make. Gas prices are dropping. Now, here's what they won't say. Who made it $53 before the war? Who did that in the first place? Because that wasn't Biden. Trump made it 53. Then these people go out and they act like, oh, it's 81 now. Like he can't bring it back down. I've heard this a lot lately, but let me also tell you, and I think this is probably even more interesting. They don't mention the fact that Trump took out hundreds of millions of barrels through the Strait of Hormuz under the cover of darkness. They're not mentioning that. See, what they do is they put certain things in, leave certain things out, put certain things in that have no connection to each other, and they lead you to make these decisions, these conclusions based upon it's a manipulation strategy. And tactic works well because people say, "Oh, see, that's what's going on." Those strategic reserves will be refilled. Don't forget, Biden emptied them to win an election, and he didn't. I think he may have emptied them during the midterms too, though. But again, none of these people, Good Morning America, any of the rest of them, ever said anything when Biden did that. I'm already moving, sweetheart. Did you not pay attention last week? Did you not hear that? We said hundreds of millions of barrels. Hundreds of millions of barrels are going through the strait. Oh, you can't hear the video. You hear me talking, but you don't hear the video. Well, you heard my rebuttals. That's probably the most important part. I just wanted to say that so that I could give you the next piece because I want to talk about the midterm. So I apologize for that. We fixed it. You'll be able to hear the next video if there's another one for you. But this is the piece that I think people are missing. And boy, is it going to be a good one. Boy, is it going to be a good one. We'll just see where you're at with me on this. A friend sent this to me, actually. I thought it was kind of fascinating. It all has to do with yesterday's big fights at the UFC. And I will tell you, as fascinating as I find this, I actually believe this to be very insightful as well. So this person says something they saw at the fights predicts the winner of the midterms. Pericles over on X says this. The fact that Mark Zuckerberg was at the White House, UFC Freedom 250, and Meta is a sponsor are indicators that Republicans will win the midterms. He goes where the wind blows and has access to more data than anyone from Facebook or IG. His data is telling him it's good to be Republican in 2026. Holy smokes. Think about this one, folks. Now, I know that he likes the UFC, and I know that he's a big fan. MMA, etc. I get that. I understand that's like a hobby for him. But folks, I'm telling you, big tech apparently made a big shift, and I would say back in 2024. And the reason I think more than anything else, and here's the sponsorship down on the canvas here. But the reason more than anything else is because they saw the world, what it would look like under the Biden administration or anyone on the left, and it was not a world they survived. So they made a strategic decision. They also saw data, right? Saw the shift in populace of the United States and where people were going. And again, some of the people on the left and even woke right, some of them are more, I would say, are more vocal than influential. But again, we see a lot of people getting sucked into the deception and paying attention to things that they're being lied to about. They're being completely deceived about it. I believe there's good news. I believe a couple of those things are very possible, that we could see the major shifts in time for the midterms. And I've also told you, I have a friend of mine that calls this whole theory, is it compression? Hang on. Yes, I think it's compression. I'll tell you this, and then we'll be done with it. It's fascinating, but it's also takes a bit to understand it. Trump learned a principle of architecture when he was designing and developing things like casinos, etc. And the principle of architecture is I don't know that this is the official name for it, but it's compression. What it means is if you walk through a hallway, right, a small or narrow opening, and it opens up into this massive grand space that commands the eyes, that overwhelms people, and they are impressed. And this individual said, I'm calling this compression, by the way, he says, if you look at Trump's campaigns, these are the way the campaigns looked. You were compressed into these boxes up until a certain point where everything opened up and it looked like undeniable. It happened in 2016 and it happened in 24. In 2020, not so much, but it did in both of those elections that he won. And it looked like he was the underdog. He can't do it. And all of a sudden, it's inevitable. Trump's the guy. Same thing last time around in 24. He can't do it. They're going to throw him in jail. They're going to kill the guy. And then after that assassination, the failed assassination attempt at Butler, everything just opened up. And that's where you saw the compression flex, and then everything from there goes on to become, I believe at that point, it's just undeniable. It's just undeniable. So anyway, that's a fascinating hypothesis. And I do find it, like I said, I do find that very interesting. What I also find interesting is a couple of these clips I've seen circulating this weekend. Dan Bongino posted this. She's getting so close.
There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating.
Yeah, I was looking up at the light just before getting there. Okay. Saw it shift yellow. And as I get into the intersection, there was a vehicle in the lane.
Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle.
He wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year.
First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents and you're doubling down on your lie. I told you to publish the full letter that Charlie wrote you, not lines of it. Okay? It's a lie by omission.
New York Post got a hold of that letter. They've now published it. Charlie Kirk expressing his love for Israel. No attacks on Israel, just advice on how to fight lies.
We got to put these up somewhere. It's just very interesting because once people buy in to it all, they completely lose touch with reality. I thought this was fascinating too. This one came out. Milk Bar. Did Milk Bar do the other one too? Yeah. Milk Bar TV. They're doing a lot of this work that's just kind of uncovering some of this stuff. And old young Tucker, boy, he gave a lot away throughout the years.
And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man, this kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist, fighting for you against the powers that be.
This is the truck that I drove this morning. This is the truck I drive. It's a 1987 Chevrolet Silverado. There are no electronics in this. There's no air conditioning, there's no radio, and there's no way for the government to turn off my engine if I'm disobedient.
And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over.
It's like you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
No. But see, I'm an out of the closet elitist. I don't run around pretending to be a man of the people. I'm absolutely not a man of the people at all.
I had the privilege of not being interested in money because I didn't grow up in a family where we were worried about money, so I just never really thought about money.
Tucker's great-great-great-grandfather was known as the Cattle King of California, the largest landowner in the United States in the 19th century. Just to give you an idea of the enormous wealth.
Well, it's kind of like a Kramer versus Kramer situation, right? They got a divorce and she took off.
Tucker and his brother did end up with part of the oil and gas minerals that she owned in her estate. So even that went well for Tucker.
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I inherited from my number of trust funds.
From the Swanson deal.
She wasn't your mother.
That's how I felt. I had a mother.
That's
my
right.
dad got remarried to someone I think of as my mother.
1979, the father, he's going to marry Patricia Caroline Swanson. She is the heir to the Swanson billion-dollar fortune, the frozen food family.
Serve Swanson dinner soon. I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I inherited.
You're a trust fund baby, are you not?
No, completely. I've never needed to work.
I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick.
I worked in a kitchen in 1985. Everybody in the kitchen had a criminal record. Every single one. But of course, every dishwasher has been to prison for something, right?
I do really prefer the feudal model, which is it's the model of all time.
One thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat.
There's more to this. I'll post these. I'll post them in the stack if you want to take a list. But I just think they're both of them very, very interesting. Let me just leave you with this. Let me just leave you with this for today. Gosh, I wish I could play the clip. I know that we'll get busted for copyright or whatever. But let me just leave you. Michelle Obama is a man. That was what he said this weekend. So let me just say what everyone else is thinking. Some of this stuff. You just can't make it up. Oh, boy. Anyway. Never a dull moment. Lots still yet to get through, and we appreciate you being here with us. We'll try and chat through some more of it tomorrow. Don't forget, America 250 gear is here. Make sure you get your gear. justinbarclay.com/store. Great way to do it. And by the way, if you haven't done it yet, clicking share, always a great way to help support the program. Julianne is our winner today. Julianne Bryan, thank you so much. Not it yet for sharing today. We always appreciate the support. Clicking share, always a great way to help support the program. Julianne is our winner today. Julianne Bryan, thank you so much. Not it yet for sharing today. We always appreciate the support. Clicking share.